What up, what up, what up? Welcome to episode 4 of Sistaz Talking Ish, and we are back at it once again. I'm here joined with my sisters,
Salita.
And I'm Tiff.
And I'm Kalia, and we are 3 sister-in-laws bonded together in this connection over love that we found in 3 brothers.
Absolutely.
So, this week we have a few things we want to talk about. Mm-hmm. But before we get started, what you ladies do this week?
Well,
go ahead.
You want to go first? Well, I'll be out of town in Houston, so that's what I will be doing.
Are you gonna be like pop, lock and drop it?
I'm hoping not, even though that seems to be one of the things on the plan, but hopefully I'll bring some outfits that won't allow me to do anything like that. Like, a lot of sneakers and stuff like that.
What did you wear last time when you was twerking on a handstand?
Just jeans and a shirt, and I was not, I'm not going to even do it.
Now you got to dress in clothes that aren't comfortable, so then you won't be tempted to twerk.
I wasn't. These clothes, yeah.
I didn't even know you could do a handstand until I saw
the video. I can't.
One hand too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I'm not playing around with y'all. What you got going on this week?
Well, not much, y'all. I'm staying here. I'll be in Arizona this weekend. Not doing much. Just catching up on house cleaning, my usual cooking. Working on my business, hopefully getting some rest, skating, like we go skating every Sunday. Oh, let me tell y'all about this past Sunday. Wait a minute, I forgot to tell you. Did I tell you this man made me fall?
No.
Oh, I was so mad. I have a no-fall record, okay? Clean, no issues, okay? Mm-hmm. I'm doing my little thing, you know what I'm saying? I'm bobbing and everything. And there was this dad, I blame little kids. I don't like little kids. that can't skate. No, they can't skate. Little kids will take you out because they will. They're flailing their arms everywhere. They're darting all around. Little kids they will take you out. So this father, he was going to get his child. His child had failed. So he darts across to go pick his kid up. And in the process of him picking her up, he kind of tripped me on the low. And so I went down, took a knee, just one knee, went down, came back up. But it was still, I was like, you done messed up my record. He was like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, ooh, I hate you now. But it cutthroat. Okay, Sunday at skating. But really, that's all I have going on.
I missed skating last weekend because I was
You all was eating.
Yes, I was at brunch.
You were saving tables and stuff.
Good. Oh my God, brunch was so good. So I missed skating. But I didn't really do nothing this week. Similar to your plans, I've been doing a lot of cleaning. I realized this week that I'm becoming a boring housewife because I bought we have quartz countertops in the kitchen, and I found a quartz a clean and shine. Yes.
Really?
Yes, and I was so excited.
You gotta they need to be replaced.
Well, apparently, if you treat them with things that are meant for them, then they will last longer.
Oh, hi.
So I was extremely impressed with the product, so much so that I have been using it on my counters daily. And then in pure OCD mode, I couldn't just wipe the counter, so I had to take everything off the counter.
Oh,
I had
totally
to
understand.
Wipe down all of the appliances inside and out before I put them back on the counter. Mm-hmm. I have these little dishes that have salt and pepper in it. I had to take all the salt and pepper out, wash the dishes, wash the things that they're in.
That's protocol.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
maybe I'll be like you guys one day.
I get excited about stuff like a new kitchen gadget or a new vacuum cleaner. This is life now. I'm excited about domestic things like that.
Yeah, me too. So I'm hoping that the rest of my week will likely be more like that. I've been watching the George Floyd trial a lot this week, and that's been really tough. Yeah. It's been really, really, really hard to watch. So I've been noticing that the days that I've watched it more, it's affected my energy.
Because you came over here, you were not your usual hyped, bubbly self. You were just kind of yo, y'all, what up? I'm like that.
I need to get better, I need to get better with the news because I just don't watch it anymore, so I don't know what's going on in the world. I did not know the trial was starting until maybe yesterday. I read some stuff on it, but I do need to start watching the news and
Well, I don't watch the news either.
That's
It
why.
is. That's why I don't watch it.
Yep, that's exactly
They
why I
should
don't.
call it bad news because it's like the things, the human interest stories are really short if you see them, and it's mostly bad news. Like I don't want to watch the news and be bummed out. Like
Listen,
protect my energy.
I'm about to give y'all a quick story time about why I don't watch the news anymore. So I never really liked watching the news, but the last time that I had watched the news, we were still living in Gilbert. And the way that our house was set up, you would come up the stairs, and the very first room was our room, and then it was the kids' room after ours. So I was watching the news, and I seen a story that said that this guy who had raped and murdered these women had just gotten out of jail and was last spotted in Chandler, which is the city right next to us.
Oh goodness.
So our bedroom used to have a couch that was right in front of the door, but from the end of the couch, I could see the top of the stairs. Why did I sit there the entire night on the couch with my elbow like this, watching the top of the stairs? Ken woke up at like 4 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning to go to the bathroom, and he was like, "Dog."
Because out of all the houses, he was going to what you call the booty man.
Yes.
Was going to come by your house.
Yeah, first of all, y'all know that's my biggest fear is the booty man coming in my house.
But he was home. Your husband was home.
And
That's
not only
when you
that,
sleep and
was he gonna go to her house out of everybody else's house?
And this is the most insane part, right? Now, like I said when I started this story, this is when we used to live in Gilbert. Gilbert is literally like top 3 safest cities in the United States to live in.
Yeah.
And I'm like sitting there like watching the top of the stairs. So when Kim woke up, he was like, "Dog, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Well, they said that this rapist and murderer is loose, and he was last spotted in Chandler."
Y'all
And
have to
he's
pray for
like,
her.
"And what does that have to do with it?" Like, and let me tell you something. Sometimes he will call me out on my crazy, but then sometimes he is really good with handling how crazy I am.
Oh, yeah.
So that particular night, he was like, "Will you get in bed and I sit here and I watch the stairs?"
Oh, that was so sweet.
And I know as soon as I fell asleep, he probably moved, but it was still the gesture, it was still like the whole point, because he could tell that I was like, I was in complete panic mode.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So that's why I don't watch the news no more.
Yeah,
but
he like walked right away, but still, it's the fact that he made you comfortable, so you
Right.
go to get some sleep.
because he knew I would not have. I would still
so
be.
sweet.
I would still be sitting there right now. Right now, I would still be sitting there protecting my
But
house.
I'm the same way with spiders. I'm the same. One day I was like paralyzed, right? Because it was a spider on the wall above my bed on the ceiling. Now, if I kill it or if I like hit it and it doesn't die, it's gonna fall on my bed. Then I gotta throw the whole bed away.
Now you gotta move out.
So okay, they can have a house. So this particular day, I'm sitting there paralyzed, and my daughter walks by. Rodney wasn't home. My daughter walks by, and she was like, "What you doing, Mom?" I'm like, "I'm scared." She's like, "I got you." She goes downstairs. She came back up with about this long kitchen knife.
She was gonna stab it.
She bought the strap. I was like, "What you about to do with this
She
spider?"
gonna shank the daddy long leg.
I said, "That's not gonna work." She said, "Yes, it is." I said, "No." So we two crazy folks trying to battle this with a staring contest and all. So I feel you about being paralyzed and fear that might not be completely founded.
Yes.
And
I get I have to be
rational.
rational to it.
It's definitely not rational.
Most people's fears are irrational. Something that might never happen.
But that's why I don't watch the news. I just can't take it. But recently, I have been watching lots of Fox Soul.
What's Fox Soul?
It's a blickety black ass
Isn't it like internet?
social network.
Is it on TV
it's like
or is it on
Black
social?
It's on. I think it's on some channels in like very few markets, but it's primarily on YouTube, and then they have an app.
Really?
Yeah, it's real. It's real-ish, radio-ish.
Oh, it's urban?
Yes, it's
Yes,
urban
yes, it is very black.
with all the.
As a matter of fact, their
people of
news
color.
is called The Black Report.
It's real black.
Oh,
It is
man.
real black.
I'm on it.
It is so black that one of the main people on their news is the ex-video vixen, Melissa Ford.
Really?
Yes, that's how black it is.
Girl.
Yeah.
You still around.
See,
She said you still
so
around.
you too can pop, lock, and drop it,
Shut the heck up.
and then host a podcast.
I swear, we turn on. Okay. What's it called? Soul what?
Fox Soul.
If we turn on Fox Soul and we see Salida, okay, dropping it like it's hot.
Talking about everybody get loose. Get loose.
I don't know why she fronting because we know. Bless you.
I don't know. I don't even know
no
what they're
pictures
talking
or
about.
video, but
Bless
there'll be
you.
a story about it.
No, I don't even know what they're talking about.
We'll see. If she accidentally go live this time, we gonna know something is up.
I'm not, because I'm not fooling around with them.
We didn't know. Nobody gonna know she even went out of town. How
Not
about that?
COVID Central.
This is true.
Ooh, you right.
This is
Yeah,
true.
we don't mess around.
They
With
is
COVID.
open down there.
They are.
They been
My
open.
cousin was there. I remember Atlanta. She was there like twerking and going to bars and stuff. And we were just looking like, girl, bye. This was like last year. I was like,
Bless you.
Bless
Thank
you.
you. Allergies. Sorry,
Can't
guys.
do it. It's something over here because my eyes been bothering me too.
But speaking of Texas being wide open, we've been wide open too for a minute.
But we don't
What has
go
been 2
nowhere.
weeks? Well, our state. So technically,
Our state, yeah, Arizona is wide open
Yeah,
now.
Arizona is
and
open.
actually, they're not even enforcing mask
Nope.
mandates any longer. Of course, you can still wear them, but it's not enforced. Bless you. I was at the Walmart the other day, and I was in shock. I saw a whole family, not one mask. The kids didn't have anything on.
No.
Everybody just walking around like normal, and I was just like, "What is going on?" Before I had heard about the lifting of the mask mandate, but it's like. For me and myself, I'm going to continue, me and my family, we're going to continue to practice our social distancing and our
Excuse me.
PPE. Bless you.
But the thing is, even though they have the no mask, the business still has the right to make you wear a mask.
That is true. Yep.
So, and most of them are making you still wear a mask.
It's just, I'm so used to it. I just do it anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not messing around.
I will probably wear a mask for
Ever.
the rest of my life.
Forever.
Oh my
Or
god!
at least a face shield. But I will have on some form of contraceptive when I go out.
Contraceptive. Remember that thing we were watching something on TV and this lady had this like her whole head
Yep, that's what
was
I mean.
encased in like a hazmat like apparatus and Shalita was like, "That's the one you want."
That's
Yep.
exactly what I need
Yep.
in my life. That's exactly what I need.
Listen, you gotta be comfortable. You have to be comfortable
Yes.
with a disease that could potentially take you out.
Yes.
So,
And I got shit to do tomorrow. I can't be
bless
dying.
you.
Ooh, excuse me.
you
Sorry.
Oh.
What you need, some Allegra?
I don't know. It came up. She was talking about allergies. I was doing fine, and then now I'm like
it's my fault. I'm sorry.
throat
it's like
itching.
When you, it's like when you like watch somebody yawn.
Yep. So I'm all jacked. Sorry, y'all.
Pages, my bad. I'm
Sorry, y'all.
started it.
But speaking of where we live, one of the things that we are going to talk about today is what it's like living in a predominantly white neighborhood while raising black children. I think oftentimes when black people reach a certain level of success, we often move. We move into what we would consider a better neighborhood, a better area, and I have my thoughts on how I feel now that we've done that. We moved from Detroit. Well, I probably hadn't lived in Detroit since I was like 16, but we moved from the Detroit metropolitan area to Arizona 13 years ago. But I wonder how y'all feel about it, because I know when y'all did live in Michigan, the kids went to school where it was more people that looked like them, or they lived in areas where they seen more people that looked like them, whether it was family, neighbors, whatever it may be. And then now we live in areas where they don't necessarily see a lot of people who look like them.
That is interesting that we all moved from a more urban area to now, like we're all in the burbs.
Yep. It's
All
the
in
real.
the
I mean,
burbs. Like
they
you
had a
have to
whole
travel.
bunny pancake breakfast at the park next to my house. I looked out. I said, this is something.
Now,
This
see
is
that
something.
hood, listen, not in the hood, okay? But
This
we
is
all live in
something.
the bar. Like you have to travel just to get to the freeway
Yeah.
from my
I mean,
house.
but y'all live like in the mountains, so
Yes.
we in the mountains.
y'all in there, right?
But I went to a high school that was predominantly white, and I was one of the few black kids. And I can tell you, I felt it. And when I say it, I felt the eyes. I felt the scrutiny. I felt like I was under a microscope. As a matter of fact, me and my friends, we used to do like dance routines to different songs. And our lunch break, we would be in the hallway practicing our routines. When I tell you somebody told on us and said that we were in a gang.
Really? This you went to
Birmingham
Groves. Okay, that's what I thought.
They said that we were in a gang. That we were.
And it was integrated then a little bit, Groves.
Not nearly like it is now. Not nearly.
Really?
We had our little black folks table at the lunch table.
Oh, that's what we had. Our hallways
had to stay together, right?
Because
So they told on. We had detention because we were dancing in the hallways, and that was disruptive, even though it was during lunchtime. Like nobody was in class. So
really,
I remember feeling that way. I remember being angry with my parents because I'm like, y'all took me from Detroit where all my friends and all my comfort zone was. Now I'm out here in the burbs, and I'm surrounded by, I didn't grow up in that environment. So now I have to get used to just integrating with other people. And I felt ostracized. My friends were like, oh no, you live across 8 Mile, girl. We ain't coming over there. Or my mom won't bring me over there. You know what I mean? So
they didn't even move you to the middle ground. At least I moved from Detroit to Southfield, so I still had people that looked like me.
Yeah, Southfield was more integrated, absolutely. And Groves was just like, we had our little black folk section, that's all we had. One black teacher, and she was still kind of, she wasn't even cool,
But I think for me, I'll be living in Arizona now. This year will be 6 years. Layla moved here. We moved here. She was in the 3rd grade, I want to say. So she, of course, she did go to school with more people of color. So when she moved here, it was sort of like a shock to her because she, at that point, the elementary school that she was going to was predominantly white and Hispanic, and she never was around either one of them, so she was confused about races. She was like, well, this girl got a tint, but I don't know, so I had to break down, she's white, she's Hispanic, this is Asian, this is that and the other, because she would be confused, So and the transition wasn't actually that bad for her. Layla, the way she talks, I never understand how she has the tone that she has. She talks, I used to call her, and correct me guys, don't take this any kind of way, I used to call her my little hood baby. Because I used to be like, why does she talk like this? So when we moved to Arizona, I was like, okay, maybe it'll change. She kept it. She uses proper grammar now, but the tone and everything is still there.
And my kids get all they cool talk from.
Does she have an extra bone in her neck?
They get all
yes, and she do, and I said, and I'm like, how do you still do this?
Grabbing?
I mean, you tried it. Period.
Period.
I'm like, how do you what is mind blowing? But it was definitely a transition for her. But I think now it's pretty cool because she will be going into the 9th grade this year. So she has her little clique of black friends, which I think is super cool. And that's just her little clique. So they all are pressing, oh, you have to go to this high school because we're all going together and this, that, and the other. But I really didn't have any difficulties with her or any type of, because at first her first clique of friends when she first moved here was a mixture of white, Asian, and Hispanic girls. And I think her transition was pretty good. And it probably because she was in the 3rd grade too.
Yeah,
like you went from middle school.
Tali was in middle school. Mm-hmm.
Well, no, I'm talking about even your personal experience. Yeah. You went from middle school to high school. So that's a big difference when you're growing,
Yep. When you're in those years. Those are those adolescent years where you're figuring yourself out and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Very interesting. How do you feel? But your kids, when you moved here, they were little.
Yes, they were really, really little. We moved here.
It's been 13 years?
Yeah. Ooh. Like Devin and Jordan were literally like 3 and 4 years old when we moved to Arizona. And it's definitely been hard. Like I wish that my kids did have the opportunity to go to school with kids who look like them. I wish that they didn't always have to be. They're always the only black kid on the football team, the only black kid in the dance class, the only black kid in the class. That's just always kind of been their stories since we've been in Arizona. One of the reasons why I moved them to the school that they go to now is because it's K through 12. So I felt like if they're always going to be the only black kid, at least they are in a place where they have each other. So they're all at the same school. But even with that, they've encountered things. When Kennedy was in kindergarten, she had issues with one of the little boys in the class talking about her brown skin and how it was that way because it was dirty and because she doesn't shower, that's why she looks that way. And so they've definitely had some issues.
I fight kids.
Me too.
Okay,
But the one thing
no
I can say,
problem.
because I did go on a tour of the school, and it is really not diverse. Me and JB was in there like,
I love the PC.
what
Wait,
is
really not.
It was sort of like you were. Have you seen the movie like Stepford Wives?
Oh my goodness.
It was sort of like that. They was like, "Good morning, Principal such and such. Hello, Principal." I'm like, "What?" I said, "How long is this?"
It's time to go in. This is not.
And
gonna
then
be
when you
our
saw
thing.
the black students, they were like this.
They
They were so good. Yes.
Looks like me.
They were super excited. But
they've experienced a lot of stuff going to that school. Devin's been called the N-word since being there. So it's definitely hard. But ironically enough, I think that it's still kind of dope that even when they're in those types of environments, that they still find their group. Like I know Devin has had some white friends, and even Jordan has. But when they date or when they have like the people who they're really close to, they generally are someone who's black or someone who's Mexican. So they tend to link up with friends who are also people of color.
That's true. It's a natural gravitation that.
Now, Kennedy doesn't have that yet, and I really, really want that for her. Like, especially when I see, like, Layla and her friends, I be like, oh, I want this for Kennedy so bad. Kennedy doesn't have that yet. She's the only... She is the only black girl.
and you know what? I think that
only one.
I
The
think
only one. Like, we go to the kids' parties and the whole night, and she's the only one. And then we're going to talk about the kids' party in a second, but I'm going to let you go ahead and say what you have to say.
But I think that if you guys did allow her to go to school in Queen Creek, it seems like a lot of people of color are moving out here. Mm-hmm. So I think she may have a greater chance of getting her crew together.
Her tribe.
Getting her little...
So let me ask you this. Conversely, so taking your kids and having them in a situation where they are in the minority, but they find their crew. What about if you didn't? What if you had them in a more urban? Like, what's the contrast? What's the pros and cons to that?
It's so funny you would say that because in real life, as much as, and my kids have even said like, oh, we want to move back to Detroit. Like they said that, but in real life, because of the life that they've grown up in, when we do go back home or when they are around their cousins, they don't fit in either. So it's like they don't fit in with the white kids in Arizona, and then we go back home and they don't fit in there. I think they had family members when we go back home that'll say like, oh my goodness, they talk so well or they speak well.
Gotcha.
And they've had cousins that'll say like, oh, why do you talk so proper? Or why do you talk so white? Or they don't fit in.
Gotcha. And that happened with me too. Like you talk like a white person. I'm like, okay, what does a white person sound like?
No, they said that to me when I moved.
Because I enunciate
that.
because I actually speak, eloquently, like an educated woman because I am.
But the crazy part, I
educated.
lost all of it, right? Because I used to talk like, oh my God. I didn't sound, that tone wasn't there, but it was more like.
I rebuke it.
Like I talked more. Like say for example, when I moved from the east side and I moved to Southfield when I was in the 8th grade. Mm-hmm. So when I got there and they were like, oh, you the new girl, this blah, blah, blah. Where you from? And I said, oh, I'm from the east side. And they're like, girl, what? Girl, you is not like, you know what I mean? Where you from? And they would call me white girl. And
really?
Yes, all of
Just
that.
because you didn't have a particular vernacular.
Yes, but I don't know what happened because it's not fair anymore. I have Grammarly over here always correcting me. I don't say nothing correct anymore. I just cannot piece it together. It's like I went.
You lost it.
I lost it.
But yeah, so those are two different sides of the coin. Like, I don't know. It's hard because I felt the same way. Then after being in the high school, in that element, when I saw my other friends from Detroit that I was friends with in middle school,
They treat you funny?
they were like, "Oh, you all that, you bougie
Yep.
now."
Oh, you from
blah, blah,
Southfield, or
blah.
did you get that? Oh, you from?
Yeah.
Because where you guys live?
13 miles.
Oh yeah. I see you. I see.
Like, I
you
live on
see
13
what?
miles.
I am poor. What are you talking about?
Like, the city was technically Southfield, but since Birmingham was
It was
right
so
across
close.
the street,
Yep.
the school district,
I didn't live too
that's
far
where
from
we
there.
got zoned. So they were like, "Oh, you think you all because
Because we would have been going. We would have been going to school together. They would have let you go to Lathrop.
That's so true.
I mean, hey.
And we ran them in track. Like, Lathrop were our, like, enemies, kind of. We ran them in track and all that. Like,
You
I don't
guys
know.
could
It's
have
just-
totally been friends then.
Oh my gosh.
But these schools are 1 mile apart.
Yep.
Worlds apart.
Yep.
Like, just worlds apart. So they call it natural segregation, like people gravitate towards either school, but you could see it clearly whenever we had, like, when we played each other in sports events, it was clear, like, there was a definite divide.
But the crazy part is, because I think you are 2 years ahead of me, right? Because you were 98. 98?
Hey, 98.
Okay, yep, so 3 then. So I was a freshman when you were a senior.
So, look out for you,
Right. So by the time it got to my time, and we used to have our games with Groves and
Seahome.
and all those different places, Seahome.
Yep.
It was more integrated.
Yeah. Wow.
But back to it, like, I don't like what was your question again? What do you see the pros and cons? I think one of the pros is for Layla, if I would have kept her, because we were staying in Oak Park, if I would have kept her in school, because I think she was going to school in Ferndale, if I would have kept her there, she would have only known her people. She wouldn't have had a chance to
She could have
interact.
went to my high school.
I would never.
You wouldn't send her to Oak Park?
Let me tell you something. I used to be driving. I used to be driving to pick up. I said, "Look at these kids."
That's blickety black.
Yes, they
Showing up black.
they was coming out. They had their long hair.
Listen.
Let me tell you. No, she wouldn't have been going there. I can only imagine what she would be like.
It would be a mess. Oh my goodness.
But I think it's better for her now, because she's able to interact with people of different races, and not just being able just to deal with people that look like her.
Uh-oh. Sneeze.
Bless you.
My bad.
So she kind of has the best of both worlds. She feel like.
But I don't think she remembers it like that, because she was so young. She doesn't remember.
Probably not.
But she's like your kids. I mean, I would love to move back to Detroit. Okay.
Yes, exactly. I mean, you get there and they smack you.
That ain't trying to go back.
Especially because she talks so much.
After that last visit, Telly was like, "Oh, when we going back home?"
Time to go.
That's what Ken says to Devin all the time. He's like, your mouth will not last 5 seconds in the street. Like, your mouth won't.
You'll learn real quick.
Yep.
You'll learn today. You will learn today.
Exactly.
But I kind of feel like the solution is to just keep them there. So what's the even medium though, right? So you grow into this certain level of success, if you will. We all do very well for ourselves. What do you do? What are you supposed to do? Like, you want to be able to enjoy what you have. And if I'm being realistic, I don't know that I could have done that if I would have stayed in Detroit.
I think you could have. Like, honestly, I don't think I would have. Like, if I was still living there now, I think I probably would have ended up selling the house that we were living in and then moving on. Even if I would have
Where would you have moved to?
I really like the
Bloomfields?
not the Bloomfields. I really liked Royal Oak. I wanted to stay either in Royal Oak.
I'm talking about Detroit. I'm talking about
If I could stay in Detroit, I would still be around. I would either stay like Palmer Park. I would do North Rosedale. I would do Sherwood Forest.
Okay, those are nice areas.
But you're still gonna be around your people just because they. Let me tell you something. Just because you live in a nice house does not change to the person that you are.
I agree.
So you still gonna have foolery.
I still think that we.
And it's not fool. I'm not saying that we're foolery. I just say you know how we are. I just love us. We is special.
I guess the
We
question
is special. See, we is special. You see that? It's gone. It's gone. I can't even talk right.
So I guess
Not
the
we.
question is, why do we feel that once we reach a certain level of success, that we have to level up, and that leveling up means
Yes.
That's
moving
true.
away from the urban neighborhood where you feel less safe
Yes.
to a place where you feel more safe, but it comes with all this other stuff.
I felt more safe when I grew up in Detroit, like right on the corner from Murphy High School. I felt more safe then than I do in the neighborhood that I live in now.
Really?
Yes. Yes.
This is interesting, y'all,
It is
because her
interesting.
neighborhood is very nice.
You see all them Trump signs all up and down my block.
I saw the Trump sign. I saw the meeting around the corner from your house.
Exactly.
I was like, no white folks did that. When you see too many
Exactly.
getting together, I'm like, what's going on over here? But okay, I see. So by safety, you define it as what?
Like I just don't feel comfortable in my neighborhood. Like I don't talk to a lot of my neighbors. I talk to the people who live like right next door. But even then, like his wife is Latina, so that's still like she's still technically a minority.
She's
but
still cool. She brown.
yeah, but I don't talk.
I'm not going to that.
That's a
Hi, girl.
episode.
Hey, girl, hey. But I don't talk to my neighbors. I don't like. We went for that walk around the neighborhood or something like that.
Yes.
And I don't remember what we were doing. We were eating at the house, but we had a lot of food. We had a spread. It was amazing. So somebody said we should go for a walk around the block.
Yes.
So we go for the walk. And even something as simple as that, like the people were looking at us because I guess it was too many black people together at one time. We had that one neighbor who had all of the Christmas lights up, and we stopped and like talked to him about the lights, and then come to find out, my neighbor who stays the only neighbor who I talk to, right? He ends up telling us that the guy told him that he's seen a bunch of black people in the neighborhood the night before, drunk, wandering around. So even like his perception of us in that moment,
You can't walk around your neighborhood
without somebody saying that they seen a bunch of drunk black people wandering around the neighborhood, and that's not even what it was.
And they are I'm not going to do
That's
it.
terrible.
It's
So
ridiculous.
I understand now when you say your definition of safe is you're not even comfortable going for a walk in the neighborhood where you pay taxes.
Exactly.
Where you live.
I know
Right.
that the people in my neighborhood look at us as if we don't belong there. I know that they look at us as if we are less than them. We've had experiences that I've told you guys about. I said I was gonna circle back to the birthday party.
Yes.
When my kids go to birthday parties, we either the parties are usually at someone's house. I don't leave my kids at parties. And when we would go to other people's homes, everything would just be fine. Everyone would come in, it would just be a normal house party. But for some reason, every year when it's my baby's birthday, people come to the party and everybody have all of these questions. They want to know what, we
What
have
you do for a living?
Yes.
What is this, that,
They're
and the
like,
other?
oh, wow, this is such a nice house, and how did you guys get a home like this? And what do you do for a
Slinging
living?
dope. That's what she
exactly
said.
what I tell them.
Is your money legal?
That's exactly what I tell them. They literally have the nerve to come out their face asking, "What do we do?" And I tell them, "We sell drugs."
That's so rude.
How do other black people make their
Exactly.
millions? We sell all the drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Because
So-
the nerve of you to fucking ask me, how do we make our money and how do we get this house? You didn't ask Jesse and the mom and daddy that
Right.
last weekend at their birthday party. Wasn't nobody impressed with their house, and they had a 2-month bar. And I didn't hear nobody asking questions about where they got their stuff from. We went to the bank, just like your ass did. Like, oh, you don't know they give black people loans for houses?
Right.
Because
You
they
know?
do.
You don't think that's a thing? Because why else are you so surprised to see me living in the same neighborhood as you? My kids go to the neighborhood school. It's not like my kids go to a school one place and then we live in this much nicer place. No, we all live in the same areas.
Well, I know that there is the thought that they work hard and make the money to move out so they can get away from the black folks.
So they
And
trying
then
to figure
y'all
out
got
how
the
we got over
nerve
there.
to come into our neighborhood that we try to get, you know what I'm saying, to get away from you all. You got the nerve to move over here. So what are you doing? What did
But
you
I
do
think,
to get here?
it's different in Arizona because we live in the East Valley. So I think that for the most part, I mean, Chandler to me is more integrated than
I would say
Gilbert
that.
and all the other
Chandler
ones.
and Tempe.
And Tippy.
Yeah.
So when you're out here, I think it's normally, you
We're
know,
surrounded by Africans and Mexicans right here.
really
Like Africa?
Like Africa.
interesting.
Right across the street, we met our neighbors over there. Our neighbors
Ken
next
did
door
say
are
that.
Hispanic. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Maybe we should
Actually,
move on y'all block.
Rodney made friends with the. He's doing some work with one of our Hispanic neighbors, and they're bartering, so they're gonna come and like get our weeds in our yard and everything. So
I need to send them over my
it's
house.
a nice relationship.
And maybe I need to step outside of my box too, because we do have black neighbors, but I'm so closed off.
We've talked about that.
Like,
I'm not talking to nobody.
The different.
I know, right? Why do we have to be like that?
Because people are so nosy.
Look, right?
I know, right?
So my house is here, right? Right across the street from my house, there's another house. That third house off the block is an entire black family, like around our age.
And y'all even kick it?
Really?
Yes. And I saw her at the mailbox the other day, and it's funny because I was on the phone with Janice, and she's like, "Girl, who are you chatting up with?" But we had a whole conversation. I'm like, "How's the baby? Girl, how they kids?" Like, we was out there just chatting up at the mailbox, and I'm like, "Why don't I talk to her more often? Like, why don't we do things together?"
Do more of that.
And we are the only ones on the block. There's 3 black people in our whole subdivision.
We gotta stick together, y'all. we gotta do more of that. But.
Because then we don't need to worry about how they feel about us being there, because fuck you. It's about how we feel about us being there.
Exactly.
I just think that a lot of them are just intimidated. They just don't know, because there is this thought process that we have tiers, right? You a good black. You one of the good black folks, right? You ain't like the rest of them, so you cool.
But then they're also the people of this. They're nosy by nature. They are very nosy, and they will ask whatever question, because they feel like they're entitled to.
And that shit is so annoying, because the family that stay right next door to me is nosy. That man is nosy as fuck.
Nosy.
I was mad at him because he messed up my video. Okay, we were filming a video for my business, and he came out talking. I'm like, man, you too loud.
Yeah,
and I think it's one thing, like it's one thing to be friendly, and I think he is friendly, but he's nosy because he asks mad questions. At one point, the first time when they first moved in, because they moved in after us, and when he first met Jamie, he asked him if he was Ken's oldest son. Like, first of all, no,
he
tried it. They're literally brothers. Like, Jamie do not Ken don't look old enough to have a son that looks like Jamie.
He tried it,
but he was just being mad nosy.
So nosy.
And see, to your point, we were living in Royal Oak in Michigan after we had the fire at our house. And our neighbor in our rental house in Royal Oak was a white, very nice, I could not stand this lady, okay? She would come over with candles when the power went out. She was asking us what hotels we're staying at when our power went out and we left. Like, she was just too nosy.
She was trying to break in while y'all was gone and steal all your shit.
She had stayed in our house before. Our house was like an Airbnb, and she had stayed there. Her basement flooded, so she stayed there. So she knew our whole layout. She's like, "Oh, the towels are over here, and this is that." I'm like, and so my husband was like, "No, she's just being nice," and I was like, "I do not like this chick." It was something about, like, it's nosiness disguised as nice. Friendliness.
Yeah.
And I can't take it. I can't stand it.
There's too many questions. Mind your business.
And don't touch my hair,
because we don't do that. So get on.
Don't ask me about my hair.
Listen.
Don't ask me about my clothes. Don't ask me about my shoes.
I've been telling Kennedy Savannah, don't ask. Her hair. They had speaking of black kids in a predominantly white area, they had a lice breakout. Or a lice, whatever they call it, infestation, whatever they call lice, I don't know. But they were checking all of the kids in the school hair. So Kennedy was like,
we don't do
my
that.
mama said, can't nobody touch my hair. So they ended up calling me from the office and was like, can you come to the school? So I asked come to the school and check her hair.
Sure. Because you're
not
touching my baby's hair. You're not touching her hair.
Because they had an incident before, another lice breakout, maybe the year before, and she had braids. And the teacher took out some of her braids to check her hair, and I almost lost my
baby.
Shit. Okay?
I would have been under the jail. I swear to goodness.
Let me tell you something.
Take my baby's
when
braids.
When I came from school, I said, "What happened to your hair?"
I know they used to be tired of you.
They did, because I let them have it. I be giving them the business.
Especially with that time when they that horn.
When they did what? Oh, yes. Yes. I was taking kids to school, and they had the buses. They used to have the buses lined up. So I guess it's a safety hazard. You're not supposed to walk in between the bus. So we walked in between the bus, but it was like a bunch of different people walking in between the bus. So we just following the crowd. We walk in between the bus. As soon as me and my kid hit the front of the bus, the lady decides she's going to blow the horn on the bus.
Are you serious?
You know how loud the bus horn is?
It's so loud.
Do you know what it feels like when you're standing directly in front of the bus?
Oh my God.
Let me tell you something. I went right through that door, okay? And that lady, and it was an old ass white lady too. She opened that door up. I said, "You about to get fucked up outside of this school because you lost your mind." I said, "Let me tell you something." I said, "If my kid has one iota of an issue hearing, I'm going to snatch your eardrums out of your whole head."
What she said? Oh, she was
sitting there and red. She was like freaking out, but I went off on her. I'm like, I should beat your ass. Like, why the fuck would you do that?
You gonna wait till we cross?
I'm like, you couldn't have waited.
That was intentional.
You couldn't have waited.
And you could have said something like, excuse me, keep it moving. You ain't got to blow no dang horn.
And then, in pure Kalia fashion, because I won't just cuss your ass out.
She went even further.
I went even further, and I ended up calling the superintendent, and I ended up filing a complaint against her. And I don't know what happened and what route she on now, but she don't do that route no more.
I don't see anything.
They don't know. They don't.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
I called
That's
the
your
school
baby.
and I said, I was like, oh my god.
I did.
That's your
I
baby.
would sue
I don't
all
care.
of you.
Yeah.
I've done the same
I would
thing.
sue everybody. Everybody can get it. Ask Target.
Okay, Target's good.
Everybody can get it.
Target can get it. Mm-hmm. So speaking of lawsuits,
I'm like, don't mess with my kids.
Okay, period. So let's talk about these Lil Nas X Devil Shoes lawsuit debacle.
Well, wait, before we go to Lil Nas X, I think while we're talking about
okay, go ahead.
the people like this, white like this, while we're talking about the Palm folks, I think we should play the video with
Palm
the
folks.
Oh yes, we have a video clip for you all. Yay!
Yes.
Just waiting for our producer to cue that on up for us. You know what I mean?
But this is a video with a young lady explaining her views on white privilege. And we're going to watch it and discuss it because I have some thoughts. We all have some thoughts on this video. And here it is.
It simply means that they're never going to struggle because of their race, and they're never going to understand what it's like to struggle because of their race.
I don't know how many more times I have to say this, but black people do not struggle because of their race, and white privilege does not exist. I will say it for however long it takes for people to understand, because there seems to be some cognitive dissonance over on the left. Now, if black people are so held back in this country because of their race, why is it that Nigerian immigrants moving into this country are one of the most successful demographics in the United States? Why is it that they outperform native black Americans when it comes to academics? They also have fewer run-ins with the police than native-born black Americans, and they have a much higher average annual income. Is it because they have a different culture? Absolutely. And the two biggest problems facing the black community as of today are, one, the lack of fathers, and two, the disgusting and regressive black culture that the black community experiences. And that is why they are held back. That is why they are not as successful as other demographics in this country.
All right, so there we go. So I'll reserve comment. Go ahead.
Well, I just want to ask y'all the first question. So the first question I have is, do y'all think white privilege is made up? Do you think white privilege is a thing, or you think it's just, a figment of people's imagination?
It's absolutely a thing. It's absolutely a thing. It has been proven time and time again. It is a definite, it's a thing. I don't think that, and it's hard for everyone to understand. I understand that, but just for me as a black woman, I've seen it in action, and it is absolutely a thing. It's something that, in my job, we have a class called Cultural Awareness that we train. And we always have one black person and one white person training it. And the white person always says something to the extent of, I didn't ask for this privilege. And it's like, okay, you didn't ask for it, but you were born with it. You have it, recognize it, and now you got a choice. What you gonna do with it? Are you gonna sit on it, or are you going to do something with it that helps and benefits other people, other races? But go ahead, sorry.
I agree. How you feel, sis?
Yes, of course there's white privilege. I mean, that's a crazy question.
What type of question is that?
It's definitely a crazy question. There's definitely white privilege because you see it every day. You see, especially now that you have social media. I mean, like cameras and stuff like that. People videotaping. You see all the Karens and how they cry and do all type of stuff, and it's just now that everyone is starting to see the privilege.
Yep.
When you couldn't see it before, you could see all the tears and all the all the foolery that they do, So that's why last week when I had my incident, I had to do what I had to do because I wanted to have some type of privilege as well.
Yep.
Okay.
You gotta take advantage of privilege.
Yeah, you can.
Now.
I mean,
absolutely. I
think
agree.
it's definitely a thing. Now, how do y'all feel about the points that she made in regards to why? First,
The whole black fathers and all that.
I wouldn't say that because there's a lot of people who don't have fathers in their life and they're
It seemed
successful.
It seemed like not only was she trying to make a point that there isn't white privilege, but it seemed like she was trying to say that the issues that Black Americans face in America are solely based on our decisions and our choices and the lifestyles that we choose to live and our fathers not being in the home, which to me is wild.
She basically called us trash.
Yeah.
She's like, y'all you all don't have privilege because you're trash, all right? You don't work as hard as the Africans do, so it's your fault.
And then going back to that, when she was talking about the Africans, their culture is different. So some of them teach their children when they come over to study in the States that you need to go to school to be a doctor, or you need to do this or you need to do that, because that's just their culture. Whereas us, we want our kids to do well and have all these achievements, but I don't think that's our primary focus. It is our focus, but not to the extent of them. Like they want their kid to be a doctor, pharmacist,
a lawyer,
engineer,
whereas
something
we
like that.
understand that you can be successful doing a number of other things that
Whatever
aren't
you
that.
enjoy. Right.
Exactly.
And comment to the point that you were making earlier, like even when what's her name, Yvonne Orji, when she did her stand up, she was mentioning how when she told her family that she wanted to go into comedy, that her parents were like disappointed.
And she has like she has her undergrad, master's. I think she said she had maybe 2 master's degrees or something like that, and they still were disappointed. Like what?
Because I think they place the value on work.
It's It's the degree.
Yep.
It's the degree in having a job, a prestigious job, using that degree.
Yep.
It's not. The focus is not on just being happy and being able to provide. If you can find something that you enjoy and make a career of it, that's you're winning. You know, like, and it's how many people go to a job that they hate, right? Because they were pushed into it or whatever it is, and they just hate it. Like that's not the way I want to live.
Yeah, and I think for us, at least for me, like when we raise our kids, we're primarily focusing on their well-being, their mental health, making sure that they're doing something that they truly enjoy. I don't want my kids to necessarily feel like your value lies in whatever your title is. Like, I don't want them to feel that way. And I actually think that Yvonne is a good example of that, because even with all of the education that she had, she ended up becoming far more successful than a lot of people who work in that field, doing something that she loves, and she's doing something that she's passionate about.
And guess who's happy now? Her parents telling everybody that her daughter on HBO. You gonna do the accent?
Yeah, it's like, do you have HBO? Check my daughter out.
How the table, how everything changed. Now she's successful at this career her parents didn't support.
But why couldn't you still have that same level of pride for your kid if they were an artist, or if they were an author, or if they were a teacher? Like, why can't you still have that same, like, why couldn't her parents, and not trying to like bash her parents, but I'm just saying in general, when you have parents who value education over their kids doing something that they love, why couldn't you have that same energy?
Yep. Keep that same energy.
I think a lot of people like to brag. They like to tell everybody, and I'm not saying this to be, they like to tell everybody in the village.
That's true.
My daughter is a doctor. She's a doctor, just like she just going around telling everybody her daughter is on HBO.
Right.
Do you have HBO?
Kid.
Like, it's crazy to me. I don't understand why we put so much on our kids. And then to her other point, I was really disgusted at her point about not having fathers in the home. And that point really pissed me off, because there are so many successful Black people who did not grow up with a dad. So the idea that you would tie that into,
it's ridiculous.
It is dumb.
Because there's a lot of people with fathers who are not doing nothing.
Okay, so it doesn't. The dad doesn't make or break.
Yes,
like the numbers are just not there to support it. That has anything to do with our level of success here. And I think it's really irresponsible of her to ignore the fact that systemic racism in the United States is a thing, and that I don't care when a police officer sees you, because she made a point that like they don't get pulled over as much. A police officer doesn't know, especially a racist ass police officer, doesn't know the difference between a Nigerian and an African and an African American. They don't know that when they pull you over.
Yep.
All they see is that skin, baby.
Yep.
And no amount of degrees or whatever can stop that.
Exactly.
That is your skin.
So I'm like, I don't understand. And I think the work ethic and the culture that they grow up in ties into their level of success, because when all you are trying to do is be a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, and that is your primary focus, then it's going to be different getting a job doing that than gaining notoriety as a black person trying to become a dancer or a writer or some of the more artsy crafts that people may enjoy more. Mm-hmm. I don't want my kid to be a miserable ass doctor.
Right. Okay, you a doctor, but are you happy though? Are you happy? Yep. I agree. So we, as a African American culture, if you want to say that, or black culture, we pretty much we do value education, but it's not like you better be a doctor, you better be a lawyer. It's find something that you enjoy, put the energy and the work behind it, and we'll support you.
Yes, it's not the end all.
And we don't want you, and us as black people, we don't want our kids to go to school for something stupid.
Yeah.
I say that.
Oh, you got that degree? What you gonna do with? I know people who have 2-3 degrees and they're not using them.
They working at the yogurt
so
place.
So the degree does
they
not
want gummy bears or
guarantee
M&Ms on their yogurt.
Listen,
and they happy.
Yogurt. Happy as a clam.
As a person
still got them student loans though.
And that's what I don't get. I'm like, as a person who works in the education field, that's one of my pet peeves. Like people going to school spending all of this money on a degree, and how much is that degree?
Look at me, I'm drinking on it.
Like how much money are you going to even make with that degree? How long are you going to be stuck in that debt that you can't write off under no bankruptcy? Like how long is that gonna be something that we continue to keep imagining like this is the dream? Because in real life, if you're not going to school to be a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer,
I mean, you can out the gate get it. I know people who in high school, I went to college, they got a job at a bank or whatever, and I got out of college with all these loans and whatnot, and they are doing their thing debt free.
I could not have went to college to do what I do.
I learned more on YouTube University than I learned at the college that I went to.
I'm just saying, the School of Hard Knocks is up. And we have so many resources at our disposal now. We have different online, all types of careers you can manifest, if you put the energy into it. Yep. So college degrees may not be for everyone. And I don't think that we should be pushing people to do it.
Nope.
That's not what
but you gotta do something.
You going okay. You're not gonna sit around. You're not gonna sit around the house now. You're gonna do something.
You can't sit around.
But if you don't go to, my parents told me that they said if you don't go to school, you're going to get a job. And I was like, bump that. I'm going to school. I didn't want a job.
Or you at least like have to have a plan. Like I have to see you working towards something.
Yeah.
It just can't be nothing.
You're not gonna not go to school and just lay around and just no. We're not gonna do that. We're gonna do something else.
So speaking of laying around, we can go into jail topic.
The shoes.
The Satan shoes.
The Satan shoes. Wow. So, like I said before, we got Lil Nas X. We know him. He's an artist. What's the name of the song again? Morena.
Isn't his name?
Ontario?
That's how much I don't even pay attention to him.
So, if you haven't seen the video, please give it a watch. I can't get all the way through it, but so the shoes are...
No, not rewind though. Like, why couldn't you get okay, so a little back end story is that Lil Nas X released both a pair of shoes and a video Is it? I think it's called "Say My Name." And a lot of people are really upset because of the way that he has incorporated Satan in both his shoes and his video. You could not get through the video. What was so hard about it?
It was
Look at
just
the
weird.
shoes.
It was just,
Now, would you wear
those
your
are the
shoes?
No.
So what do they have on them? I think they have a pentagram on the front. Or
Okay, so put it like this: if it didn't have demon blood in it and that pentagram and the
because they have the
scripture,
pentagram pendant on the front, right?
Yep.
And
The
then does it
pendant?
have the pendant on the back too?
I
I think it has two pentagram pendants.
And then it has the scripture about Satan falling from the sky.
Yeah, what
Luke
is it?
10:18.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
And then the drop of human blood in each shoe.
It's too much.
I think he like.
And they got like
The shoe
666
wouldn't be
on there.
bad.
I just
Wasn't
think
all
that
that.
he's definitely a troll. But then you also, I mean, if you believe in stuff like that, I just don't think that people. Me personally, I wouldn't necessarily tinker around in that world. Because I do believe in spirits and demons and angels and all that stuff like that. So I just feel that he shouldn't tinker around in that world. I don't care. I know a lot of people were saying that they're outraged because he is gay. I don't think.
I wouldn't even think about that.
Yeah, I don't know if that people. I don't think people are necessarily outraged for that. I think it's more of an outrage, like yikes, you are doing the most. But and then people will say, well, Marilyn Manson that's his name, right? Or Marilyn Manson, or Bone Thugs Harmony.
They did the same,
Bone Thugs
similar.
and Harmony. They did similar
Very
DMX. They have
similar.
lyrics in their
Ouija,
songs.
Are you with me?
Yeah, and I listened to that. I thought that was creepy too.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I don't
What's
do
wrong with
creepiness.
Ouija
No, I don't
board?
do stuff. I don't deal with stuff that's real that can happen. Okay,
Yeah.
so I don't mess around in that world. So I think that's where and then the imagery that came around, like it's just.
And I think that's what it was.
I think that's what it was.
Like the video, it was too much going on. It was a bunch of like abstract stuff, and I just was like, what the heck is even the point of this video? Like I couldn't understand what he was trying to say. Then all the imagery and put that together with the shoes, I was just like, this is a bit too much for me.
But he
I
does
just
have freedom
didn't
of
understand.
speech. He can
Absolutely.
use whatever imagery he wants. There are some people that are for it. There's some people that are against it. Me personally, I just don't think it. I know a lot. Like I heard Amanda Seales on her bullhorn. Because
really?
I sometimes I can take her things. Like sometimes I follow her, and then sometimes I unfollow her, and then I just go back and forth with her.
I just stay
It's a
there.
love-hate relationship.
So I think she was leaning on the fact because he is, from what I seen, and I turned it off because she can take me. She was going on the fact because he's a home gay.
See, I didn't even.
And I don't think it is from that
in
point.
there.
So
It's
I
just
watched
weird
the
to me.
video from start to end
A couple times.
several times. I actually really enjoyed it. I do shy away from creepy things. So the gym shoes, like I'm just not. It's the 666 and it's the pentagram pendant and it's the blood. I'm not wearing shoes that incorporate that type of energy in my life. I'm not doing that. I did find the video very entertaining. I thought it was extremely creative.
There's a lot going on, yeah.
Another piece that he came out and mentioned in regards to his point that I completely support and agree with, because you guys know I am a huge advocate
Yes.
for the LGBT plus,
Q.
the Q plus community, is that a lot of times and I only know. I grew up in a black community, so I know how the black community do things. I don't know how other people do stuff because that's not where I grew up at. But I do know in our community, oftentimes you grow up hearing that if you are gay, you're gonna go to hell. If you are gay, it is wrong. It's a sin. It's one of the ultimate sins. All of this bullshit. When in real life, people don't realize what you're pouring into your kids when you're relaying that type of message to them. Surprised that a person like Lil Nas X would grow up to embrace something like that if you've been told all your life that being this way is wrong and being this way is a sin. I'm not surprised that he would turn around and decide he's going to embrace that world, because if that's the world that you're telling me that I'm supposed to be in, and I'm telling you that I'm living in my true authentic self. He even had a verse in the song where he references people that are gay but they're scared to live in their truth. And he's like, if me being who I am means that I'm going to hell, then so be it.
Just embrace it.
Like, could you imagine, and this is kind of how I related it. I'm an extremely empathetic person. So I always try to put myself in other people's shoes. And when I think about stuff like that, it makes me think like in the Mormon culture, right? Or in the Mormon religion. They have, or they used to have, I've since been told by Mormons that they don't believe this, but they have a belief that if you have darker skin or the darker your skin is, you're cursed, right? So could you imagine growing up in a world where you're born black? Like we were born this way. Mm-hmm. There's no denying that we were all born to look like this. Right. So the idea that somebody would think that you're going to hell or that you're cursed because of this, like, so at that point, who made the mistake? Did God make the mistake? Who's the issue here?
Her face got tight.
Okay, so this is what I like. This is how I feel on the whole situation. I don't understand why you can't love somebody for who they are if they are homosexual or whatever their belief is. You can still love them for who they are, but you can also at the same point disagree. You don't have to agree with everything, but I think as long as you're still respecting that person, I don't know.
I just don't get how this is any different from your kid growing up and dating somebody else who you don't like or who you don't think is good enough for them. Or we all know people who are in relationships with somebody who we don't think is the right person for them. So how is this any different? Like at the end of the day, it's really none of my business who you decide to be with. Whether it is an idiot wife or a same-sex relationship.
I mean, I don't care. I just think that everyone should respect everyone's belief as long as that person is not being disrespectful, and just keep it pushing.
But my point is that the way that we get here with Lil Nas X is because everybody doesn't think the way that we do. People really will bash and shoot down and destroy and tear down gay people and tell them all of these things that's wrong about them based on the way that they were born. And similarly, I shared a meme that I saw online. Did you guys see the meme that I posted with the little boy?
Yeah, I saw that.
Like, you was on social media, girl. I didn't see it.
I dabbled a little bit. So there's a meme. Here, I'll show it to you. But it is a little boy dressed. He looks like he was trying to dress up in a Cinderella dress. And it's a sign on the wall that said, boys can be princesses too. And then there is a mom who says, I'm sick of this mess, not my son. And she's snatching him away with a belt in her hand.
Yeah, I saw it in the thing. Yep.
And this is the kind of stuff, like I read the comments under this specific post, and the majority of the people commenting were in agreement with the fact that this mom was right. Not understanding the shame that you are literally instilling in your child when you make them believe that something like this is wrong. And what's wrong with it? Kendall got Nerf guns for Christmas. Like, we don't do our girls like this. Why do we have to do our boys like this? We don't do our girls like this. I've never seen a little girl playing with, my kids have Batman toys, Spider-Man toys. I don't see people doing girls the same way where they're like, oh no, you can't play with that Nerf gun. You're a girl. That's a boy toy. We don't do our girls like this. We don't sit there and feel like, oh, if we let our girls play with Batman, she's gonna grow up and she's gonna be a lesbian.
That's true.
But we feel like if our sons play with Barbie dolls, they're gonna be gay.
I'm just telling you how it is in the black community. Yeah.
Don't cry because
you got a little boy. I remember I was watching. We watch Friends.
Yes.
You gotta get with it, sis. You gotta get
I'm
with it.
not gonna be able to.
So, Ross's ex-wife Carol is married. She's a lesbian. She's married to Susan.
Yep.
And one day Ross was going to pick up his son from Carol, and he said, "Why is my son playing with a Barbie doll?"
Yeah.
And everybody was like, "What's the big deal? It's just a Barbie doll." And he was so adamant, like he was like trying to take the Barbie doll away and putting them G.I. Joes and stuff like that. So this is a cultural thing that we need to address. Period. We breed little boys and then we say, nope, you can't be a sissy, you can't cry. And that has one of the pastors I follow on YouTube. He's always saying that whole boys gotta keep your feelings inside. It has led to this culture of men who don't know how to deal with their emotions.
Exactly. And then you wonder why your husband won't give you a hug.
Yeah, because they've been taught showing emotion is feminine, or you're a sissy, or you're not a man if you show your emotions. So I do agree with that part. Suppressing our children's feelings, suppressing who they really are.
Because they have to come out.
They have to come out somehow. And
They're going to come out
now,
some way.
They might be a 30-year-old, 8-year-old man going and shooting up you see what I'm saying? So it will manifest.
You can't do it. So it's like, if you're not going to cry, or if you're not going to show emotions in a way that you see as soft, then you're likely going to show and express those emotions in a more aggressive way. And then who said that that's right? I think that that's worse. I think a person who is unable to express how they feel without showing anger or aggression is way worse than a man who's willing to cry. Because it's going to come out. And in this scenario, it looks like it came out in the form of him twerking on the devil.
But he's a troll too. Like I just don't understand why people.
He's been a troll.
I don't understand why people are doing this.
He was a troll.
Because when I seen it, I saw him with the horns. I said, "Oh my god, what is he doing now?" It wasn't. I didn't think anything of it, even though I think it's definitely creepy. And I don't.
Wild to me.
I just you know what? I just kept scrolling. Like I'm not doing this with him today.
Not today. But you know who he, like you said, you know he's a troll, so you looked at it with a grain of salt, like, okay, that's just
he's like the
him.
Tekashi of the I'm not going to say this. I was going to say what David Chappelle said. It's not the alphabet people.
I don't think that he is the same. I think Tekashi Sasana is a horrible person. I don't think Lil Nas X is
he's not horrible.
Person.
He's just a troll.
And I also think that I'm actually thankful for the work that he's doing. I feel like he has. I know it's a lot of people who feel like, oh, children shouldn't see this, that, and the third. But you already told your gay kids they going to hell. So I mean, what's the difference? You might as well let them watch the video so they can see what's going to happen to them if they keep being gay. But on the flip side, I think he is allowing people to understand him and Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union. I think they're both like good examples of people being who they are in their true authentic selves. I think it's hard. I do. I couldn't imagine it. I'm only trying to imagine. But I think it's hard, and it has to be hard, because why else do we have children who are struggling to the point where they're depressed, or to the point where they want to kill themselves, or it has to be hard. And the idea that we won't acknowledge that, and that instead we just still want to sit up here and post dumbass memes like beat the gay out of your kid, it's just ridiculous to me, because all you've proven is that you don't truly love your kids as much as you think you do. Because if you did truly love your kids as much as you should, then it shouldn't matter who they are or what they become.
Yep. And it's like when I was working in foster care, I had one of my foster kids. He was 14 years old. He had already come out as gay. So they get a particular clothing stipend. So he was like, can you take me shopping? I'm like, okay, sure. So he wanted to go to some women's stores and get like some women's clothes. And I was just like, my thought is, this is his money. This is what you want to buy. Okay. But my supervisor was like, no, we're not going to do that. He has to get gender appropriate clothes. And I thought that was wrong.
Who decides what's gender appropriate?
Exactly. The little boy wanted the blouses with the ruffles and whatnot. I don't see anything, you know what I'm saying? So it's just things are reinforced. This is from the government. I work for the government.
Yep.
This is from the government top down, saying you can't buy this boy what he wants to wear. So, anyway.
I just really don't feel like that's really a thing. Like, I don't.
And I mean, and then the thing is, I think that people, and see me, I'm different. Right. So although I commend Dwayne Wade and what he's doing, and you guys can hate me and put all type of hate messages, but I don't think I would necessarily handle it the same way. Yes, I will still love my child and all of that, but whatever you choose to do and however you choose to dress, I'll just leave it as that.
Gotcha.
I don't think that from what I see, I don't see anything that I have thought was out of line.
With the video, what are we talking about now?
What are we talking about?
With the video, or with the attire that transgender kids wear.
I mean, everybody is different. I'm not going to bash them about it or anything like that. It's just that everybody's. I think that one thing in our society is everyone is entitled to their own opinion and how they feel, as long as you, like I said, show respect, show love.
Absolutely.
You may not agree with everything that, with each other, but as long as you're showing respect and love and support in some type of way, that's all that matters.
Then we can just have all of the double standards that we want to.
Basically.
Because that's exactly what it is at the end of the day. Like if this, and this is my whole, like, I'm a very logical, rational thinker. So when I'm trying to envision in my mind what this looks like, this to me is all comparable. I try to think like, okay, if this were my son, there should be no reason why I'm handling the situation with my son any differently than I am with my daughter, right? Mm-hmm. So my daughter wears basketball shorts. No, nobody thinks there's nothing wrong with that. But if my son was wearing a leotard, people would think it was something wrong with that. Why? You've never wore men's clothes before? I wore men's clothes before.
In the 90s, I sure did.
Don't lie, you just had your husband hat on last week.
The 90s, I did. I wear today, I don't care. But you're correct. There is that double standard. Our girls can wear, boys' clothes or whatever, and that's okay. But once the boys cross over into more feminine, type clothes, then it's a problem.
And we have to try to look within ourselves. Well, not me, because I don't have a problem with it. But anyone who has a problem with it, you have to look inside of yourself to try to figure out, what is it about this situation that makes me more uncomfortable than this other exact same situation. Technically, that means we all going to hell. So,
and we are. So in the same category of everything else.
No, we got saved by the blood.
We're going to have to wrap that part up.
But we'll see. So maybe next week we'll be back, or maybe next week we'll be in hell. We'll find out. Either way, we're going to be coming to y'all from Lil Nas X's basement.
Oh, no.
Lord, please, Lord,
Broadcasting live from Lil Nas X's booty.
Don't you? I'm not doing this. See, that's the thing.
Cut.
Well, it's been a fantastic week, y'all. Peace. We're going to end on that note.
Join us next Saturday.
Hi, guys. I'm Kalia.
I'm Salita.
And we want to welcome you to our new podcast called Sistaz Talking Ish on the Real Ish Radio Network.
So download the app at realishradiolapp.com.
And you can also watch us on Facebook and YouTube and listen to the audio on all streaming platforms. Hope you guys check us out soon.